She's 72, carries a sewing kit, and nobody notices the Medal of Honor tucked under her cardigan. In 24 hours, she'll confront the colonel selling America's newest nerve agent to the highest bidder, and every life on this base, including her grandson's, hinges on whether a grandmother's steady hands can pull one final thread. The first bugle hasn't sounded, yet Martha Caldwell is already awake. Dawn light seeps through interblock windows of Fort Adams' textile shop, painting soft gold on rows of olive drab jackets draped like ghosts. At 72, she moves slower than the privates who'll barge in later. But every motion is deliberate, needle through fabric, not pull. Most days she repairs torn sleeves and missing rank chevrons. Today, her fingers work on something personal, the pocket lining of a faded field jacket that once belonged to Captain Henry Outwell, her grandson. Deployed again next month, she reinforces the seams twice, then tucks a tiny four-leaf clover charm inside before stitching the pocket closed. Luck matters even if brass won't admit it. She reaches for her thermos, pauses, and lifts the silver star brooch pinned beneath her knit cardigan. Anyone glancing would think it costume jewelry, only Martha knows the backing plate hides a miniature clip of blue silk and 13 white stars, the Medal of Honor ribbon she earned 5 decades ago in a jungle far from these snow-dusted barracks. Regulations say she should keep it framed. Regulations never raised a child alone or buried friends by flashlight. A ventilation rumble masks boots approaching. Sergeant Lindsay Knox pokes her head in. "Morning, Miss Caldwell. You're early again." "Couldn't sleep," Martha answers, eyes still on her stitches. She doesn't add that dreams of mortar fire visited after last night's news report. Fort Adams is slated to host Project Nightshade, a hush-hush weapons test rumored to be anything but safe. Knox drops a box of uniforms and leaves. When the door clicks shut, Martha flips the jacket she's repairing and slips a micro-USB drive into a hidden seam until a young signals officer handed her in secret proof of a project that shouldn't exist. Sunrise ignites the horizon crimson. Martha knots the final thread, whispering, "One more mission, old girl." Mid-morning finds the textile shop buzzing. Young soldiers crowd the counter, missing buttons, busted zippers, frayed morale. Martha's thimble taps a calming rhythm while she reassures them all, "You'll look sharp by chow." Private First Class Ortega, 19 and earnest, leans in to whisper, "Ma'am, rumor is Project Nightshade's bringing outsiders tomorrow." Real hush-hush. His nervous grin fades when Martha's eyes harden. She shoos him gently. Some rumors weigh more than the young can lift. When the line thins, Colonel Vernon Pike strides in, tall, metals gleaming, reputation darker than engine oil. He's Nightshade's on-base sponsor, though the paperwork says otherwise. Martha senses the room's oxygen tilt around him. "Mem Caldwell," Pike boons, brandishing a torn dress blue sleeve, "need this fixed before tonight's briefing." "Yes, sir." She takes the jacket as she threads her needle. The colonel's gaze drifts to her brooch. For a flash he sees past the silver star casing, glimpsing that telltale blue ribbon edge. His eyebrows knit. "Interesting pin," he says. "Family heirloom?" "Something like that." Martha keeps sewing, heartbeat steady. Pike's curiosity lingers, but he's called away by his aide. "Exit boots." Echoing, Martha exhales. A moment later, Sergeant Knox returns with 2 coffees. "You okay?" "That man gives me the creeps." Martha offers a thin smile. "People like him rely on fear. Dear, we just refuse to supply it." Knox notices a corner of blue silk peeking from Martha's brooch and gasps, "Is that—" "Shush." Martha tucks it deeper and presses a thimble to her lips. Some honors are louder when whispered. She finishes the colonel's sleeve, but before boxing it, she slides a thread of reflective tape into the hem, a tracer only special corporations scanners catch. Tonight, if Pike walks into a secure room, alarms will sing. Across base, loudspeakers call troops to noon formation. Martha sets aside her needle, feeling the gravity of secrets half hidden and half revealed. The winter afternoon sun throws silver shards across parade ground ice as Martha hurries toward the headquarters annex. Colonel Pike's garment box tucked beneath her arm. Inside the foyer, brass gathers for a security walkthrough preceding Nightshade's classified briefing. Among them stands Lieutenant General Abigail Whittaker, 3-star, steel-spined, famous for Afghanistan logistics and for refusing lobbyist dinners. Martha approaches the coat rack quietly, intent on dropping off the mended jacket and vanishing. But Whittaker's peripheral vision is legendary. "Seamstress Caldwell," she calls. Voices hush. Every aide turns. Martha straightens. "Yes, ma'am." Whittaker gestures her closer. "My driver lost a button again." Magic fingers like yours free after 1700? The question sounds casual, yet her eyes study the brooch at Martha's collar with hawk precision. Interesting insignia. Where did you serve? A hallway clock ticks, cloud, accusing. Martha meets the general's gaze, recalls red mud. Radio static, the impossible rescue that earned a medal nobody believes a woman her age could own. Quantry Province, ma'am. Long time ago. Whitaker's brows rise. She nods once, almost imperceptible, soldier to soldier. Then her voice drops. Scuttlebutt says Nightshade's test parameters changed after midnight. Less containment. More volatility. My staff can't get the new hazard sheets. Martha's heart kicks. The USP still hidden in Henry's jacket held chemical spectra labeled Nightshade Variant B. Lethal, airborne unders 5 deg, the exact weather rolling in tonight. I mend uniforms, General, Martha says carefully. And sometimes uniforms mend s, Whitaker replies. If you ever find a loose thread worth tugging. My office door is open. She slips Martha a folded index card, blank except for a satellite phone number and the initials A.W. Footsteps echo. Pike strides in to escort the visiting scientists. Whitaker resumes her official mask. But as Martha turns away, stomach knotted, she knows the battlefield has shifted. Tonight, a question hangs heavier than snow clouds. Will Fort Adams wake up tomorrow breathing? Twilight settles as Martha lets herself into the base library's forgotten microfilm room. No a glorified storage closet. No one patrols after hours. She flicks on a desk lamp. Dust motes swirl like restless spirits. Henry's jacket lies open on the table, liner carefully unpicked. The microscope she stitched in earlier glints beneath filament light. Her arthritic fingers plug it into an ancient laptop the techs abandoned months ago. A boot screen lingers, then folders bloom. Contracts, task logs, payroll. She clicks payroll first. Names she recognizes: Colonel Vernon Pike, 2 civilian chemists, and, shockingly, a shell account routing to a lobbying firm in Arlington. Each deposit flagged consulting Nightshade Variant. Variant, that word again. She hesitates, opens task logs. Charts spike red across every page. Aerosol dispersal rates. Fatality projections at 200 meters. Contingency phrase urban proof. Martha's breath fogs in the cold room. Nightshade isn't a defensive agent, it's a battlefield nerve. Aerosol, more volatile than sarin. Stable in winter air. And tomorrow's demonstration sits upwind of the family housing where toddlers ride trials. Finally, contracts. The Pentagon approval signature block is blank, but a private biotech firm's logo stamps every page. Below it, Pike's digital sign-off. No congressional oversight. Illegal ink around. She scrolls to the last appendix. Remediation plan. Civilian casualties acceptable under classification. Red veil. Her stomach flips. Light footsteps echo outside. She yanks the drive. Kills the lamp. The doorknob rattles. Voice 2 men. I'm telling you, Pike wants every trace locked, one whispers. Martha slips behind a filing cabinet, body tight against cold metal. The door creaks. Flashlight beams slice darkness. A box topples inches from her shoes. Empty. The second man grumbles. Tension stretches like thread on the verge of snapping, until finally the door shuts. Martha exhales, heart hammering. She pockets the drive and whispers to the dark. Loose thread found, General. A north wind howls down the frozen motor pool, rattling sheet metal doors as Martha slips out of the library. She hugs her cardigan tight, clutching the satellite phone number Whitaker gave her. Every breath forms a cloud that vanishes too quickly, just like the young lives at risk if Nightshade launches. She heads for the old flagpole where cell reception mysteriously spikes. Legend says a lightning strike frayed the grounding years ago, turning the pole into an accidental booster. Tonight, Martha prays folklore holds. She dials the number with shaking fingers. 2 rings. Whitaker, a crisp voice answers. This is Caldwell. The files exist. Variant B is weaponized and Pike signs the checks. Silence, broken only by wind slapping challards against steel. Then upload to the secure server on this text link. I'll scramble DC, oversight. Can you stay invisible till dawn? I'm old, McM, been invisible for decades. A chuckle softens the general's edge. Stay safe, medal holder. The call ends. Martha pockets the phone just as headlights sweep the parade ground. A Humvee slows. Through the windshield she recognizes her grandson Henry. Back from night maneuvers early. He can't see her, not with tears glazing her eyes. If he learns she's involved, he'll charge in guns blazing and ruin everything. She ducks behind a snow-dusted Jeep. The Humvee rumbles past, exhaust pluming like dragon breath. Wind keens through flag cables, sounding eerily like a whistle. The base siren system tests every Wednesday at noon. Tonight its absence makes the night feel hollow, unprepared. Martha decides that will change. She hurries to the calm shed near the softball field. Inside, dusty paw equipment sleeps. She flicks a toggle and amber bulb glows. With a deep breath, she records a single sentence scheduled for 600 broadcast. Medical drill at sunrise. Report to shelters immediately. Not panic, but a warning. Enough to buy time until Whitaker's cavalry arrives. Midnight edges toward 1 a.m. when Martha re-enters the textile shop. Moonlight stripes the sewing tables. All seems until she senses breath behind her. Looking for these, a voice murmurs. Colonel Pike steps from the shadows. Waving the sleeve she tailored, reflective thread glinting like a razor in his flashlight beam. Tuned stand in doorframe silhouette, weapon slung. The wolf found her den. Martha stiffens, eyes on the jacket. Just returning your garment, sir. Oh, I'll keep it, but first you'll explain. He flicks of light. The hidden tracer gleams. Cute trick. Signals division flagged it. Now my techs say someone breached restricted files tonight. Guess whose Loden showed up? He tosses a keycard onto the table. Her own civilian badge. Cloned and altered. Frame job. The mends shift, awaiting orders. Martha's mind races. Deny. No. Outfox. She straightens, letting cardigan fall open so the disguised metal ribbon catches Pike's beam. You think a woman who earned this would break protocol so sloppily? She challenges, voice iron. The mends blink, recognition dawning. Even wolves respect legends. Pike's jaw tightens. War stories don't grant immunity, he snaps, yet uncertainty slithers through his tone. Martha presses. Pull security footage. You'll see someone spoofing my badge while I sewed in plain sight. Unless, she lets the word hang, unless the system's been scrubbed by the same hands funding variant B. A muscle jumps in Pike's cheek. He signals the mends. Search the room. Find the drive. The U-bend fabric bins, tip machines, but Martha long ago slipped the USB into the bobbin case of an ancient singer only she can coax to life. The soldiers find nothing. Pike hisses we're not done. He storms out, but the threat lingers like gun oil. Door slams. Silence returns, broken by Martha's whispered bow. First teeth don't kill the sheepdog, Colonel. Snow starts at 200, fat flakes swirling past the textile shop windows like falling ashes. Martha's adrenaline fades, leaving hands trembling over the singer's cast iron throat. She secures the hidden USB, then pulls a battered manila envelope from a high shelf. Letters. Payroll stubs, scraps she's hoarded for weeks. Tonight she finally assembles them into a tapestry of treason. First scrap, a requisition signed by Pike for 400 mop suits. Yet supply shows only 80 delivered, the rest diverted. We protect civilians when collateral is acceptable. Second scrap, a printout of encrypted emails between Pike and Helix Biolabs. Helix fronts humanitarian vaccine research. Its side business sells nerve precursors on black channels. Every email ends with the codename Lupus Wolf. Third scrap, an erased disciplinary file on Sergeant Lindsay Knox. Martha restored it bit by bit. Turns out Knox once questioned Nightshade's safety protocols. 2 days later she was demoted for misplacing controlled meds she never handled, silencing dissent. Martha tapes the pieces onto pattern paper, red marker connecting dots like blood capillaries. At the center, Pike, off to one side, circled twice, the initials H. C. to Henry Caldwell. Her grandson's name appears on a volunteer roster for tomorrow's live fire security detail. The wolf plans to use the lambs as shield. The singer ladders awake as she stitches the envelope itself closed, evidence literally sewn into evidence. She scrawls Whitaker top urgent across the cloth exterior. A soft knock startles her. The door opens a crack. Sergeant Knox slips in. Eyes wide. Ms. Caldwell, the colonel ordered my barrack searched. They're after you. Tell me what's happening. Martha hesitates, then hands over the club-sealed dossier. You wanted to do the right thing? Here's your chance. Get this to the general's driver before reveal. Knox swallows hard, nods, and disappears into the snow. Threads of betrayal now bind allies together, and dawn is racing toward them all. 400 hours, shelter sirens still silent, but Fort Adams feels restless, the way jungles hush before artillery. Martha leaves the textile shop, locking nothing. The night already split wide. She heads toward logistics row where warehouses sit like darkened barges. Every door is supposed to be sensor sealed. Tonight, they aren't. First bay open. Inside, rows of steel cylinders stamped Nightshade B. Frost clings to their valves. A single space is empty. Pike must have moved one for the demo pad. She snaps photos with a disposable camera late husband once used for fishing trips. No digital trail. Click, click, click. Second bay weapons cage. Padlock twisted off. Paint still fresh from the cut. 5 cases of M4's gone. Security detail or cleanup crew. Either way, a firefight looms. Third bay medical. She finds Sergeant Knox waiting, face pale under red exit lights. Package delivered. Knox breathes. General Whittaker's aide smuggled it onto her halo. At 30 minutes, relief flashes, but Martha sees terror behind it. What's wrong, dear? Knox steps aside. Private Ortega sits bound to a chair, bruised lip bleeding. Caught him trying to warn housing via unsecured net. Imps roughed him up. I yanked him out. Ortega murmurs they'll charge me with espionage. Martha kneels, cuts his ties with tailor shears. Truth isn't espionage when your own people are the enemy. Warehouse floodlights ignite outside Pike's search teams. Knox kills the interior bulbs. Darkness cloaks them. Through a side window they watch Humvees prowl like wolves scenting lamb. Martha whispers, doors open both ways. Time we choose ours. She guides them to a maintenance tunnel that winds beneath the parade ground. As they disappear into the concrete throat, distant rotor blades beat against the storm. Whittaker's bird slicing through snow. Open doors bred danger tonight, but they also carved an escape. Dawn will decide which survives. 530. Snow whips sideways as Martha, Knox, and Ortega emerge from the tunnel behind the reviewing stand. Floodlights blaze over Nightshade's demo pad. A single canister sits on a tripod. Frost steaming around its nozzle. Pike looms beside it, flanked by armed imps who never question orders stamped with eagles. His briefing begins in 10 minutes, and caught time to gas the sky and blame a valve malfunction. Rotor thunder rolls overhead. General Whittaker's Black Hawk settles on the helipad. Side door still closing when she strides out, coat snapping. Pike stiffens, surprise leaking through his grin. General, you weren't expected. Corruption rarely expects oversight. Whittaker answers. She motions SID agents fan out but hesitate. Pike holds the kill switch to the canister, thumb poised. Martha steps from hiding, cardigan flaring open to reveal the glint of her disguised metal. Gasps ripple through ranks. Stories of a forgotten hero suddenly breathe frost white into dawn. Colonel, she calls, voice carrying like chapel bells, drop the toy. You're outnumbered and outclassed. Pike sneers. One step closer and Fort Adams wakes up dead. Martha lifts her right hand. The singer's bobbin dangles from fishing line. Looking for this? She flicks her wrist. The Myrovas barks toward Whittaker's aide, who snatches it midair. Evidence secured. Pike's eyes flare. He slams the arming lever. Nothing. Martha smiles. Reflective thread wasn't the only upgrade. Your sleeve now houses a strand of nichrome wire. A fit in the control glove reads it as a safety lock. No proper sleeve, no detonation. Pike yanks off the jacket, confused. Whittaker nods. Knox and SID rush forward, disarming the canister while Ortega tackles the stunned colonel. Cuffs click like castanets. Sirens finally blare. The medical drill Martha scheduled. Families hurry to shelters. Unaware a grandmother's needlepoint just rewrote their dawn. Snowflakes settle on the Enister's disabled nozzle, melting harmlessly. Needlepoint justice, stitched in secrecy, now warms an entire base. Sunrise paints Fort Adams pink as ambulances idle useless. No casualties, just frostbite on egos. Colonel Pike is flown out in shackles. The Nightshade cylinders vanish under hazmat tarps. Soldiers watch, whispering about a seamstress who outmaneuvered brass. Inside the textile shop, Martha threads a new needle. The place smells of wet wool and fresh coffee. Comfort notes. General Whittaker enters quietly, followed by Henry in service greens. His eyes are red, but pride outshines fatigue. Grandma, you saved us, he says, voice cracking like kindling. Martha pats his cheek. Needed that pocket strong, didn't we? They share a laugh that releases nights of worry. Whittaker sets a velvet box on the cutting table. The president insisted your medal see daylight again. Full honors ceremony next month, if you'll allow it. Martha opens the box. The Medal of Honor gleams, no longer hidden behind costume metal. Yet she gently closes the lid. I'll stand for the fallen. But this belongs on museum glass, not my cardigan. My hands have other work. Whittaker nods, understanding. About that, how would you like a liaison role? Vetting contractor ethics, training young imps to spot wolves? Martha glances around at bolts of fabric, baskets of loose buttons. I prefer quieter battles. Keep the title, send the files here. This shop will be my watchtower. The general smiles. Consider it done, she salutes, a 3-star to a seamstress. Martha returns a tiny, perfect 2-fingered tap, old gorilla signal from a war long past. After they leave, she lifts the last torn jacket from yesterday's queue. Stitch by steady stitch, she closes the seam, knotting the thread with hands that shook only hours ago. Outside, recruits march to chow alive to complain about powdered eggs. Martha exhales, content. The base is whole, the thread unraveled, and the final seam, both fabric and fate, is sewn tight.